I'm Norman Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. A little later on in the program, as we usually do, we'll have a special section called Previews and Reviews. But you might want to get your pen and pencil and some paper handy, because I'll give you some numbers and some dates that you might want to write down. Today we're going to take a trip into the theater, but the theater in a most unusual way, because my guest today is Sam Norkin, the famed caricaturist of the theater. And we're going to talk about a new book that he has out that's called Drawings and Stories. And Sam, I'm delighted that you can join me today. I've enjoyed over the years the drawings that you've had in the New York Daily News for 26 years, and the Herald Tribune for 15 years before that. And so you're a theatrical and entertainment caricaturist. The question is, when you're drawing a caricature, what is it that you look for first? I mean, how do you determine what feature you're going to play up?
Well, the first thing I do is try to decide what are the likeness factors, because according to my definition, everybody is caricaturable because he has a likeness. Mm-hmm. I quickly determine what these components of the likeness are, and then I dramatize them. I give them inflection. And that's the reason why I consider a caricature a high art form, because it takes the subject and makes him more so. It gives inflection to what he or she looks like.
But it's interesting to me that in your book, which is loaded with drawings, and we certainly have a lot of drawings in it, and we're going to show a lot of them today, but it's more than that. It's stories, and you look at it and you say, gee, they're wonderful drawings. They're people who are famous, people that perhaps were not famous when you drew them, but became famous later on. But the stories in it that you tell, what is your presence when you're at the theater? I mean, how do you make these drawings?
Well, the work involved doing an illustration, preferably of a scene from the play, to give the reader a journalistic service of what the show looks like, wherever possible. The reason for the caricature as applied to theater is the theater itself is larger than life. It gives inflection to a situation that's happening on stage, and therefore caricature serves that situation by giving it emphasis.
But you called yourself a journalist, an investigative journalist, and I think that's interesting. So you're not just some guy sitting in there sketching.
Well, the reason I mentioned that is I became quite involved as a theater lover in the theater, and what's good for the theater, and what's interesting about the theater, and then various issues have happened that are very emotional with people in the theater, and very controversial, and I found myself swept up in it. And so there are very definite cases.
When you talk about being swept up, you were involved with a lot of very, very famous people over the years, weren't you?
Oh, well, if the theater involves famous people, yes, I'm involved with that. I mean, I see you've put up a shot of the play Rhinoceros by UNESCO with Zero Mostel and Eli Wallach. And one of the cases in point, and one of the stories, little footnotes in the book, involve that particular drawing. And the point I'm making is that comedians, there are different types of comedians. There was Bert Lahr, for example, who was very serious about his work. Some people have said comedy is very serious business, and Bert Lahr was very serious about getting everything right, all his properties, all the scenery, all the situations, and the logistics of the stage right for his comic routines.
But Zero Mostel, as everybody knows, was on stage sometimes very difficult because he would improvise.
Yes, and he just loved what he was doing, and he was always on. That's what I was about to say. Whereas Bert Lahr, for example, was a very serious comedian until the curtain went up, and then all hell broke loose, and he was a riot. The minute I came on the set, on the stage, with Zero Mostel, for example, in this rehearsal of Rhinoceros, first thing he said to me, "Here's $20, keep Eli out of the drawing." and that was typical.
He also did a sketch of you, didn't he?
Yes,
he was...
well, at an earlier time, I don't know if people are generally familiar with the fact that Zero Mostel was a painter and an artist and a painter, and as a matter of fact, he did quite a bit in that area. And on one occasion, I met him at the producer's office while he was trying to do some logo art for his show. It's a show called Beggar's Holiday. He said, "Let's sketch each other." He did one of me. I did one of him.
And
his is in the book.
In the book,
the one
right.
that he did of me.
Now, what's this one now?
This one is a case of a show in trouble. It's called Infidel Caesar, which was based... It was literally Shakespeare's Julius Caesar transported to Fidel Castro's Cuba, and that was called Infidel Caesar.
Did it ever make it?
Because of that. It failed in previews, and the reason I have that, there was not enough room in the book for this particular one. It'll be in volume 2. But I got a big kick out of that show because as I came to the rehearsal, to the preview rather, to sketch it for the newspaper, and it appeared in the paper, I was warned by the stage manager that the director, who is a replacement, and he's in the role as play doctor, he's trying to save the show, has insisted by no means, in any shape or form, mention his name or draw him. He's anonymous.
You're going to tell us who he was?
He wasn't one of the big name directors, but he didn't want to be mentioned or associated with it. He was just there for the fee to try to save the show.
Who was in this? Any famous people?
Oddly enough, there were no big names. Alan Ansara is the man in the foreground. He's the cast, is the Caesar takeoff. But oddly enough, in the show, in the background, was Raymond Navarro. Did you ever hear Raymond Navarro?
Famous.
The superstar of the silence. Ben-Hur, the biggest money maker of the silence. He was trying to make a comeback now in his golden years, and they gave him the part of Ligarius, a small part, and had this play opened on Broadway, he would have returned to the public scene, but it never officially opened. So there he is, he's in the drawing.
I see that in a lot of the drawings in the book, that there are people who were not famous at the time that they were in there, but did become famous afterwards. And you've got a lot of that in there, and you see them in their younger days. I know there's a very good anecdote about some very good, well, you don't want me to use the word anecdotes, but you said anecdotes are in the theater mean something with a punchline, right?
I have found that theater people call them stories because not every theater story has a punchline necessarily the way you expect of an anecdote, but a theater story will make some sort of point, and we'll have a lot of atmosphere, and sometimes it'll have great punchlines.
But as far as the stories are concerned, you must have a terrific memory unless you were taking notes all the time that you were doing this, because on every page, or virtually every page, there's a story, a behind-the-scenes story, maybe peeling back some of the glamour veneer on people.
Well, let's say you as a writer or a journalist will make notes. about to help your memory. But I look at the drawing, and there's the illustration. There is the actor. There is the situation, and that's a ready-made reminder of the story to
so
me.
It triggers
very easy. Triggers it very easily.
It's like taking a photograph of on a trip or someone, and then looking at that picture and say, "I remember what took place at that time." I suppose same thing. But what are we looking at? This is a little different type of a drawing that we have
This
now.
was a new production of Faust in the Metropolitan Opera a number of years ago, and a new Mephistopheles was making his debut, and his name was Niccolo Rossi Lemony, and I had to sketch him for the Saturday Review. Now, you may know that magazines have long lead time, maybe 6 weeks. And so I went to the first day of rehearsal and sketched this gentleman, and then I was told by the designer, Ralph Gerard, who designed the production, come into the dressing room. I want to show you what he's going to look like. We're going to build up his nose with a hook, and we're going to stiffen his hair to simulate horns in a Victorian way, not in the traditional way where he's dressed like the devil, as we know him from illustration, with horns and a tail.
So, Sam, you're saying to me that this drawing actually was made not from seeing it, but for what it was
Well, I sketched him, but applied the makeup. Now, it appeared on the cover of the Saturday Review, the way you see it. He still hadn't had his makeup on when he saw the advanced copy, and he wanted to sue the magazine. So, and the magazine was very frightened. And Norman Cousins, the editor, tried to withdraw them, but it was already distributed in 48 states at the time.
Did he look that way, actually, when he was on stage?
And so, yes, he eventually did. But he took it home to his wife to show her this outrageous drawing of him, and she said, "Why, Nicky, you're never looking so handsome in your whole life." And she saved the day. And that's one of the stories in the book.
Now, you mentioned that this is opera, and now you've done not only theater, but you've done ballet and opera and movies too, which is most unusual, isn't it?
Well, they are the performing arts. In fact, the book is listed performing arts. But there's no question my main emphasis is on the theater. However, opera is theater too. It's like opera is like a musical, only it's kind of a little more highbrow. In fact, Andrew Lloyd Webber doesn't call them operas, but he's writing operas right now. Sunset Boulevard is an opera. It's just a good, easy-to-take opera, but it's an opera. Aspects of Love. His last one, which wasn't a big success, was also an opera.
We're just going to take a break now, Sam, to do our reviews and previews, which is a regular feature. And as I suggested to you, that you get pencil and paper handy, because I'm going to give you some information that you can use. As regular viewers of this program know, I'm a great believer in the art of cabaret, and I recently attended the MAC Showcase, which is a songwriters showcase where the Manhattan Association of Clubs and Cabarets gives the opportunine for songwriters and performers to present before an audience some of the newest compositions. This was held at Caroline's, and it's very interesting. They do it several times a year. It only costs $2 to get in, but you have to get there early. And I would suggest that you might be interested in finding further information about these MAC Songwriters Showcases. And the number to call for that is 212-465-2662. From cabaret, I want to move a bit to a subject of interest. It's dinosaurs and space. And they are both right now, currently, at the Maritime Center in Norwalk. And it's dinosaurs like perhaps you've never seen them before. What they've done is they've taken these huge working models of, and I mean huge, of dinosaurs that snort and groan and move and snap. As a matter of fact, one part of the exhibit, you actually can make the dinosaur move, and they put them into some great settings, including one in a familiar scene where a dinosaur is hovering over an overturned automobile. Sound familiar, doesn't it? And in the IMAX theater with the giant screen, they have several films, but I particularly like the one called Destiny in Space, and that's a new one. And what's remarkable about that is that they took the IMAX camera up in space on the shuttle and attached one of the cameras to a satellite, which was released by the space shuttle. And the camera actually, from outer space, took the pictures. Then when they retrieved the satellite, of course, they retrieved the camera as well. It's really, it's something that I have never seen before, and the views inside and outside are unbelievable. Now, if you want more information about schedules, the other shows, dinosaurs, you can get in touch with the Maritime Center in Norwalk, and the number there is 203-852 0700. And now from outer space, I want to go absolutely in the opposite direction, and this is Beneath the Sea. Beneath the Sea is an annual show that appears at the Westchester County Center, and it's a place to find out about scuba equipment. It's a place to find out about films, about videos. They have great programs. It'll be there from March 24th to March 26th. It's great for the kids. It gives diving travel destinations, and I think it's a great place to go to see things if you're interested in the subject. The number to call for further information is 914-793-4469. And now I want to get back to my guest today, who is Sam Norkin, who is the author, illustrator of a great book called Drawings and Stories. Sam, we've been talking about some of the famous people. We've been looking at some of your drawings. What's the process? Where are you when you're drawing?
I attend the performance. I prefer to be out in fourth row if possible to get a little light from the stage. If that is not possible and I'm seated too far back in the darkened theater, I have a trick of holding my paper under my chin so it gets a little reflected light, and I sketch that way. As I said earlier, I try to distill the likeness. I have moments to do it if someone is posing for me, but if someone is on the stage, let's say it's a musical and they're going to do a production number, I know that performer will be on there for 3 or 4 minutes doing it, and I get plenty of time to...
Yeah, now we have one of your drawings which like freezes the action of dancers. Is that what this is?
Oh, well, now this is the ballet Dybbuk, or called Dybbuk Variations, with music by Leonard Bernstein and choreography by Jerome Robbins. And the significance of this drawing is it was their first collaboration since West Side Story, and it was a gap of quite a few years. But there was a big problem because while it was in rehearsal, no one was permitted in. They were creating it, and so they certainly didn't want anybody around while they're doing the ballet. They're forming it. And here is the press agent, Virginia Donaldson of New York City Ballet, with one of the biggest news breaks, of the period, the whole era, and she can't offer any graphic publicity. So she asked me, and I'd done many ballet drawings for the City Ballet and others, is there any way I could work in the costume sketches or talk to anybody about it and come up with something to put in the paper? So I said, well, please show Jerome Robbins, the reviews I did, I was a pinch hit critic, and I reviewed the entire Stravinsky festival, which had 7 of his new ballets in it, 1972. The Dybbuk was 1975. So she showed him my reviews, and he allowed me in, and I scooped all the other newspapers. Nobody had any pictures of the ballet in advance, but the drawing that I did, and I was able to do the action and dress the dancers with the costumes from the costume sketches.
It's interesting now, as you tell these stories about what happened. I think you're pointing up what actually we said earlier, that the book is more than drawings, and of course the title, drawings and story. There are so many stories that come with every one of them, and to you look at the drawing and you think of the story. In the book, you look at the drawing and you read the story, and it all comes to life, really. But some of the insights that you do in there are remarkable. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and I have to admit, I've read the book, but I really haven't, because it's the kind of book that you really never stop reading, because you can go over and over and you see things all over again. It seems to me that for a theater buff, this is a great book, and for a gift for someone who's interested in any form of the theater, it would just be great, because it's more than just drawings. It's those stories and the drawings that go together. We talked before about what you look at, and I think I have to confess to the audience, of course you know it, that there is one caricature that you did, which we have here, of a person, and I think that we might take a look at that right now. Now, let's talk about this. Now, here's a character of a person who I think people will recognize probably pretty quickly when they see it, and so. How did you do this? I mean, what did you see when you did this drawing of this very, very, very dramatic person?
Is that on camera?
It is on camera.
Well, as a subject, you would be good material without that walrus mustache of yours, but throw that in, as I said, it's an embarrassment of riches, because it's so distinctive. It's such a special kind of mustache. It was a little darker when I sketched it, but aside from that, the shape of your head is very distinctive. The nature of your eyes, the angle of your nose to the rest of the face, and all these elements are enough. But we throw the mustache in, and there it is. It's even more.
But of course, not all of the people that you drew have big mustaches.
No, well, very often you have to depend on more average kind of features, but everyone is caricature.
But as I looked through the book, I did a little trick, and what I did was I tried not to look at the captions, which said who the people were. But what I did instead was say, can I recognize the person from this? And that's the remarkable part of it. For instance, the shape of a lip, the shape of a nose, and there's something about it that is totally recognizable. It's amazing how you do that, and you see that.
Well, in the last, you might call it a chapter of the book, I mentioned in quite specific detail exactly what goes through my mental process as I do a caricature, and the best thing I can do is recommend that people read that last chapter to see just what the thinking process is. Definitely my process, at any rate, as to how the caricature is evolved, and much of it is concentrated on the immediate impression I get of a person, and the use of different angles and aspects of that person before I even start to sketch him. In the case of a portrait, let's say, of a caricature portrait.
How do people react? Are they afraid of you?
Well, I feel if they sit for me, they're fair game. If they don't want to sit for me and they're defended, I respect that. For example, if anyone says, I want you to sketch that fellow over there, he's very shy or very defended, he doesn't want to be drawn, but sketch him while he's not looking. And I'll never do that because everyone has a right to his defenses. But once he sits down, I've had to decide that's the borderline. Then he presents himself to be caricatured, and he's fair game. I cannot be inhibited and do a good caricature. I've got to let all my thought processes give them free rein so that they can express what the art of caricature is. And as I said, it's a high art form when one is successful at it. When I do my job right and I dramatize a likeness, as my editor, Arthur Falwell of the Herald Tribune, said many years ago when I was starting, he said, oh, a caricature is the best possible portrait because it dramatizes the likeness. And so I'm a firm believer in that. And some of the greatest artists have done caricatures that are not called caricature because in a sense of literature...
Who, for example?
Well, for example, Modigliani and...
Van Gogh, perhaps?
Well, Van Gogh did to an extent.
Well, Van Gogh is a good
Fine
person to bring up at this point because we've got to go. We've run out of time, and I thank you very much for coming for this very enjoyable, very enlightening interview today. My guest has been Sam Norkin, a theatrical caricaturist, has done some wonderful things over the past 40 years, thousands and thousands of drawings, and his book, it's a wonderful book for theater buffs. It's called Sam Norkin, Drawings and Stories. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next week at this time, enjoy yourself.
Thank you.